Shalom, shalom. I'd like to welcome everyone to KJBU. It's Elder T here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And tonight we're going to be dealing with the women that wear high heel pumps. These 7 pair or these 7 types that are on the feet of that spirit. And before we get started on tonight, I want to read you something. And what I'm going to read you is going to lead us right into the direction that we want to go in this teaching on tonight. So I hope I have your undivided attention that I'm going to read you something real quick. And there was a woman that was given shoes from her birth. She wore them every day. One day she went about walking about that day, and she saw a store that had new shoes, shiny. They looked better to her than the shoes that she was already given. The owner of the store greeted her and said, "These are better than the ones you have on." So the style she loved, the height she loved. They would make her to be seen above everyone else. The store owner told her that they were free because she was beautiful and special. Every day she would put these new pair of shoes on. They were high, elegant, and beautiful to the eyes. When she stepped into them, something happened. She was lifted higher than she had ever been before. She stood higher than she ever stood before. People began to notice her. Her height changed the way she walked. Her elevation changed the way she looked at others. She enjoyed the feeling of being lifted above the crowd. But what she didn't realize was that the higher the heel, the smaller the base. And though she appeared elevated, she had never been more unstable. Every step of her walk required careful balance. Every movement carried a risk of falling, even though they looked good on her feet. Yet she continued walking, even though the shoes were at times uncomfortable. But she wore them every day because they were impressive. Then suddenly, while walking confidently before everyone, her heel slipped. The very thing that lifted her became the reason she fell. That's the direction we're going to be going in on tonight, my brothers and sisters. That metaphorical paragraph that I just read you. Haughtiness works the same way. Vainglory lifts a person higher than their character can support. It raises their image while weakening their foundation. It makes them look elevated before men while making them unstable in their walk before God. See, we as a people, as a whole, we have this issue. and to walk in the path of not relinquishing our authority, our own self-righteousness, and not walking in humility. Not walking under the authority of Jehovah. Those that are prideful with a pomp attitude in their spirit. So you see, these shoes are a metaphor of how we walk according to our own ways, according to pride, according to the ways of the flesh. Our own ways of earthly knowledge and wisdom. And as you see, shoe, readiness, preparation, dominion, authority. We haven't relinquished that authority. And as you see here, sandal, a sandal, preparation of journey, humility. See, I was using the similitude of these shoes as what happens to paint this picture. And I'm going to be bringing out these different points or these different types or styles of shoes. Style number 1. Pride chooses image over integrity. Type it up. Bring up that integrity. See, integrity is functioning in truth, being strong, complete, blameless, faithful, integrity, righteousness. Pride chooses image over integrity. Saying what? Some people wear what looks good, not what supports them. See, a lot of sisters in here are going to relate to this teaching. A lot of you sisters are going to relate to this. Some people wear what looks good, but not what supports them. We got to take that off. We got to take off our self-righteousness, our authority. We got to take this off when we step into the house of Jehovah. We must relinquish our authority in the grand scheme of things and in this wilderness journey. We must acknowledge our extreme insignificance. We are nothing. We are flesh. But God created us in his image. And the image we take for those that chooses pride chooses image over integrity, the one we take is not of Jehovah. We have taken on a shadow of the earthly and not the heavenly. And his integrity is what we should uphold to. But this is not always the case. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, so God created man in his own image, and in the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So think about that. He created man to be immortal and made him in the image of his own eternity. He created us to be incorruptible. He created us to be incorruptible. That's what he did. He created us to be his own eternity, emphasizing the eternal nature of man, which reinforces the what? The idea we were created what? With a divine purpose. That purpose is to do his will, not to seek our own. In Genesis chapter 5, verse 2, it says, male and female created he them and what? Blessed them. Wisdom is given. And called their name Adam, and in the day with they were created. This is clear that human beings are in the image of God's shadows, meaning something is about our nature, something about our nature that reflects God's nature, see something to be unique out of all God's creation. In other words, inheritance and dignity in work, it is that we being made in the image of God for a purpose. But 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13. Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman, the spirit, being deceived, was in transgression. The woman was in transgression. See, the spirit of Jehovah gave them wisdom. He blessed them to keep. But she didn't keep it because something else was better. Let's go to Psalms 106 and 3. Blessed, wisdom is given, are they that keep judgment, doctrines and teaching, and he that doeth righteousness at all times. But did they keep it at all times? Genesis chapter 3, verse 5 and 6 is going to say, and for God knoweth that in the day ye eat thereof, you learn thereof, then your eyes, your understanding shall be open, and ye shall be what? As God's knowing good and evil. You should be just like God's. To say that you will be on the same level as God. So when the woman, the spirit, saw that the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit of the works thereof and did learn, and gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. She became haughty, pumped up. Integrity was taken. Adam lost his integrity. He allowed his integrity to be taken away. Because they departed from the ways of God. Sirach chapter 10, verse 12 is going to say this right here. The beginning of pride, the beginning of it, is when one departed from God, because you're going to do it your own way. you're going to see something that's better, that's pleasant to your eyes, to your understanding. The beginning of pride is when one departed from God and his heart is turned away from his maker. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out an abomination. It's most hated by God. Those that are choose the image of the earthly, than choosing the image of Jehovah, that would choose the image over integrity, over in righteousness. And the image we choose is to look good, to sound good, to go about the ways of the flesh, as if we have some special type of knowledge or wisdom or understanding. We think we have something better than what God gave us, or what he's willing to give us. Another pair, number 2. Pride wants the spotlight. Pride wants the spotlight, the shiny pair. Some don't dress for comfort. They dress for attention. Pride says, look at me. Look at me. Humility says, no, look at him. Let's go into some of that on tonight. Let's pick me up in John chapter 3, verse 31. John 3 and 31. And it says this. It says, he that cometh from above is above all. He that is of the earth is earthly. He that speaketh and speaketh of the earth. He that cometh from heaven is above all. Coming from above, divine origin, spiritual origin of Jehovah, of the earth. Human limitations, carnal, that is, earthly speaks with carnal wisdom, and it is flawed, not with truth. It is what? By their own understanding. And many have succumbed to this. Let's go to James chapter 3, verse 15. And it's going to pick me up and says this. It says, this wisdom is descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. So when the Spirit comes down of Jehovah, it will bless. Wisdom is given those that are humble and meek, just like Moses. Let me show you something in Matthew 5. Matthew 5 and 5 is going to say this. It says, blessed are the meek. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. But watch this in Proverbs 18 and 12. Proverbs 18 and 12 is going to say this. Before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty. And before honor is what? Humility. See, your own heart's desires is what's going to destroy you. And pride is one of them. The humble one doesn't brag or boast. They want the spotlight. They want the shiny pair of shoes. The humble one doesn't brag or boast of what they have. See, if you're a follower of Jehovah, it will show in your works. It will speak for itself. Jehovah gets the glory, not you. You ever heard the saying, people that toot their own horn? Let's go to Psalm 75, verses 4 through 7. And I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked, lift not up the horn. Lift not up your horn on high. Speak not what? With a stiff neck. Verse 6. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. God is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. So they're going to toot their own horn. They're going to appear one way because they're wearing the shiny shoes. They're wearing one of the shoes of pride. The shiny pair. The second pair. So they're going to appear one way. Matthew 23 and 28 going to say this. (23 and 28). And it says, even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men. Oh, I love the Lord. I go to church every Sunday. I pay the tithes. I do this, I do this, I do that, I give to this. I go out and feed the homeless, bragging and boasting, tooting their own horn. But what's in the vessel? They got a label up, but what's in the vessel? But within, there it is right there. But within, you're full of hypocrisy and iniquity. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! Because ye build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous. Let me show you this in James. Let me show you this in James. Let me show you this in James. Because you know in the Christian church, they come in with it all. The lime green suits, the gaiters, the snake skins. Showing you everything. Bragging, boasting on who they are and what they are about. Well, I'm a Christian. It says in James chapter 2, verse 2, for if there come unto you assembly a man with a gold ring and goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man, no knowledge, with vile raiment, and ye have respect unto him that weareth the gay, the colorful clothing, the fine shoes and the suits. You saw him leave out the parking lot in the fancy cars. They got respect unto him. Oh, he got money. I got to get some of that. Come and sit right up front in the front of the church. The sisters are coming in with the high hats, the feather on the left, the feather on the right, and a pink feather in the back. The big old hats. With the stilettos. The red bottoms. The fancy shoes. Ye have respect unto him that weareth the gay clothing, and say unto him, sit down here in the good place. Come on, sit up front. Sit up front. You want to sit up front right here with the deacons and the elders. Come sit right here. Oh, I see that nice suit. What's that, Armani? That's an Armani suit. Sit down here in a good place and say unto the poor, stand out there. You go in the back. You don't look too clean. Your raiment looks vile. You smell a little funny. You got holes in your shoes. Stand there thou and sit here under what? Under my footstool. Are ye not then partial unto yourselves, and are become judges, teachers of what? Evil thoughts? Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not God chosen the poor of this world rich in faith? Rich in faith? The poor of this world? That's going to believe in me? That's going to hold to me? That's coming by faith? Going to cast in everything they have? That's how we live today. We live in a world that judges people and they say, well, this person is blessed, but that person ain't blessed because of what? Because of what they have or what they don't have. Have not God chosen the poor of this world rich in faith and the heirs of the kingdom? Blessed are the meek, which he have promised to them that love him, that promise him. But ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men what? Oppress you? Give me $1,000 offering. Well, I put in 1,200. No, I asked for 2,000. And draw you before what? The judgment seats. Let me show you another example. If somebody want a pair of those pride, those want the spotlight, the shiny pair. Let's go to Luke. Luke 18. You're going to pick me up at verse 11. Start at verse 10. And it says, 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a publican. And the Pharisee stood up and prayed thus himself, God, the Pharisee. Type that in, Pharisee. See, we got to understand the players in this. There we go. Pharisee. Doctor of the law of their fathers, teachers and instructors. Those Pharisees. Those false teachers, those false believers. The hypocrites. And the Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself. God, I thank thee. I am not as other men are. Extortioners, unjust, adulterers, even as this publican. What type of publican? We got to know the players in this. Common people. I fast twice a week. I give tithe, my portions of all that I possess. And the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much of his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful unto me, a sinner. Verse 14. It says, I tell you this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. Everyone that will exalt himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. So you see how humility is so important. Let me say that again. Humility is so important. See, God checks the heart, and it will show what shoes you are wearing. See, a woman will wear a shoe even if it hurts her toes. Some will get corns, bunions, ingrown toenails, plantar fasciitis, pump bump, hammer toes. So a woman wearing the wrong shoes, she will endure many things. Foot pain and injury, wearing the shoes that look good but don't fit right. Long-term damage. Consistent pressure and imbalance can affect knees, hip, and posture. Lack of stability. The wrong shoes can cause stumbling, falling, instability, especially shoes that doesn't contain any support. Reduced mobility. You can't freely move or run when necessary in the wrong shoes. So you're still in a form of bondage. You have no spiritual liberty. You cannot go through the scriptures because you're holding to your own understanding, doctrines, and beliefs, uplifting yourself. Some women will experience discomfort, meaning hidden behind the style, or they would rather choose the name brand or the style, the name that's on the shoes, and will experience discomfort because the particular name that's on the shoe. It is discomforting for many to hold the ways of Jehovah, to hold the ways of righteousness, holiness, departing from the world and fleshly lust and living. The style, the name brand is that of the world. That pride will have you looking one way because of the name brand of the shoe. You knowing it's uncomfortable, but because of the name, you want to wear it. You wear a size 9. You wear a size 9, but the size that the world is wearing is an 8.5. You know it don't fit, but you still want to wear it anyway because it has what the world's label on it. Another style, number 3. Pride ignores comfort for compliments. Pride is worn for applause, meaning this. Some outfits, the garments or the shoes we choose to wear, they're chosen for compliments. Pride seeks validation of the flesh instead of the approval of Jehovah. If the shoe gets the attention, the woman will what? She will endure the pain of it and the uncomfortability of it. See, a woman will buy a pair of shoes and she will wear a pair of shoes knowing that they hurt to wear them. And pride would not cease and keep them from not wearing them because the name that's on the shoe. But if you need applause and cheers to feel valuable, pride is already cutting into your feet. Let me show you this let's go to 1 Samuel 16:7. Let me show you this right here. And it says, but the Spirit of God said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance, nor the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as a man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Spirit of God looketh on the heart. God checks your heart. And your heart, like I said, will show what heels you are wearing, what shoes you have on. See, let's go to Philippians 3:19. Philippians 3:19. And it says this, whose end is their destruction, whose God is their belly, your cravings, your insatiable desires and ways you want to serve the flesh, and whose glory is in their shame, who mind what? Earthly things. Type in belly. Belly. Metaphorical representation, the innermost parts of what? Of the heart. God looks on the heart. Your appetite. Pride ignores comfort for compliments. Pride is worn for applause. Whose God is their best? I am Dr. Reverend such and such. You see, just not too long ago, Reverend Jackson, he went back to the dirt. The guy that hung with Martin Luther King, who were doing all kind of things on their wives. You can't take that title to the grave. You can't take that title with you in the grave. See, what we want to hear is well done, thy good and faithful servant. A servant doesn't work for compliments, nor is it for comfortability. You can't tell me it wasn't comfortable for all the prophets who were stoned and killed by the same people that they were preaching to. You think they were preaching for compliments? Because it's not about your glory. It's not about you. Who mind what? Earthly things. God is your belly. You going about the ways of the flesh totally goes against what? The spirit. The flesh goes against the spirit. For example, you have people that have now taken Wegovy and Ozempic, these weight loss drugs. So now they lost a little weight. But what they want to do, they want to take a pic. Because now they got a small waist. They want to take a picture of in a bikini and post it on Instagram or Facebook. Look at me. Look how fine I am. Look how much weight I lost. Being proudful, glorifying the flesh. Your belly is of worldly desires and carnal admirations, seeking compliments, seeking approval of the world, idolizing oneself. But what did Christ say in John chapter 7, verse 8? Verse 18. John 7 and 18. He that speaketh of himself, seeking his own glory. But he that seeketh his glory, that sent him, the same is true. And what? No unrighteousness is in him. A person speaking from themselves and about themselves is driven by self-promotion and not truth. There are only two ways, two directions: self-glory, pride, recognition, and ego. God's glory, humility, obedience, and truth. You cannot truly pursue both at the same time. Jesus never ever spoke to elevate himself. He always spoke and pointed direction us to the Father. See, we want the name of Christ on us, but we want the style of the world. We want the comfort of the world, but don't want the discomfort of what? Being a follower of Christ. For many, it's uncomfortable to be a follower of Christ. You put the label on to be a follower, but you keep inside your own self-righteousness, ego, pride, going about doing the things your way, seeking your own glory. Let me show you this in Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. And in that day, 7 women should take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread, our own doctrine, and wear our own apparel. We'll put our own righteousness. But it says, only let us be called by thy name, by thy way, to take away what? Our reproach. Why would he take away the shame that you have on you? Because you wanted to learn of your own doctrine, lean to your own understanding, being in your own self-righteousness. They wanted the comfort of his name, but didn't want the uncomfortability of being what? According to his righteousness, his doctrine, his understanding, and his wisdom, and being covered by him. So they want to go about it their own way. First Peter chapter 4, verse 4 and 14. Let me show you this right here. It says, if ye be reapproached for the way of Christ, happy are ye, for the spirit of glory and God resteth upon you. On their part, he is evil spoken of. Pride ignores comfort for compliments. Pride is worn for applause. I just flipped it. That's all I did. I just flipped it. It's uncomfortable. People don't want to wear the shoes of humility. They don't want to wear the shoes of Jehovah. They want to wear the shoes of the world. On their part, he is evil spoken of, but on your behalf, what? He is what? He is glorified. He says this in Matthew chapter 10, verse 33. We're going to pull this one in too. He said this. He said, but whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father, which is in heaven. We're going to pull in John 15 and 19. See, many would deny his way. John 15 and 19. And 1 John 2 and 15. See, many will deny his way. Many will deny the righteousness, the faithfulness, the obedience, the sanctification, being set apart from the world. Many will deny his way because it's uncomfortable. Many will seek to go after something that is pleasing to their eyes or to fill their appetites, their heart. See, it's just the opposite. To be a follower of Christ, you got to deny the world. Let me say that again. To be a follower of Christ, you have to deny the world. It may be your family, your loved ones. You don't deny him. Jehovah is your key to get into the kingdom. John 15 and 19, you're going to say, start at verse 18. If the world hated you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. It hated me. What you think happened in the garden? If the world hated you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world will love its own. Yes, the world is full of pride, worn for applause. Pride that want their compliments. If ye were of the world will love its own. But he's going to clarify, but because ye are not of the world, I have chosen you out of the world. Therefore, for this reason, the world hated you. First John 2:15. And it says this. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Isn't flesh of the world? Isn't pride of the world? Isn't arrogancy, haughtiness of the world? For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but of the world. And the world passes away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth what? The will, his desires, abideth forever. A different pair, number 4. Pride, it will change the way you walk. Unstable shoes make you walk carefully. Pride makes you walk stiff, meaning this. Pride makes you walk stiff, meaning this. You cannot apologize. You cannot admit your wrongdoings. Pride. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel 15 and 19. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that King Saul. Talk about that King Saul. Now, King Saul was commanded to wipe out the Amalekites. Everybody. Everything. But what happened? Wherefore then doest thou not obey the voice of the Spirit of God, but didst fly upon the spoil? He took everything that was good, but didn't do what he was commanded. He leaned to his own understanding. Because he was king, he thought he could do what he wanted to do. And does evil in the sight of the Spirit of God? And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I obeyed the voice of the Lord. You did. I have gone the way which the Spirit of God sent me. I have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and I have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people took of the spoil, the sheep and the oxen, and the chief things which should have been utterly destroyed. You see where he's pointing his whataboutism? You see that whataboutism going in? You see that? He's making excuses. He's not taking accountability because the prophet Samuel went to the king. He didn't go to the people. He went to the king and told him to wipe them out. You feel you can do what you want to do. We got to get rid of this pride. You feel you can do what you want to do. You're supposed to do his will, his desires. If he commanded you to do it, that is what your behind's supposed to do. You don't leave it up to your own interpretation. You don't leave it up to your own understanding. He said, but the people took it. But who did the prophet go to? He went to you, Saul. You were supposed to take care of the king. You were supposed to wipe out everybody of the Amalekites. But the people took the spoil and the sheep and the oxen of the chief of the things which should have been. Do you see that? Which should have been utterly destroyed to sacrifice unto the Lord. Watch what he says. Verse 22. Verse 22. And Samuel said, have the Spirit of God had as delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, remember, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken to the fat of the rams. Verse 23. See this always. See, when you lift yourself up, you the king, and you just gonna do what you want. You gonna do it the way you want to do it. For rebellion is as sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Man, you might as well should have went on ahead and prayed to another god. You might as well should have did idolatry. What you did, that's what you might as well have did it. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Spirit of God, he also reject thee from being king. Verse 24. We got to bring in this piece too. We got to bring in this piece. And Saul said unto Samuel the prophet, I have sinned. I have transgressed the commandment of the Spirit of God and thy words. Yeah, you did. Because what? Because I feared the people and obeyed their voice. Pride wants compliments. Pride ignores comfort for compliments. Pride is worn for applause. Pride will change the way you walk. Pride makes you walk stiff. You see, until he said he reject you from being king, he was blaming it on the people. I built this mega church for the people. We got to bring everybody in to save them for Jesus. You see how detrimental this is. Saul did things, he did it the way he wanted, not the way he was instructed. He departed. That's why I showed you earlier. He departed from the ways of God. He chose to please the people, not God. These rulers and teachers that will not obey him and go about doing things their own way, leaning to their own understanding. Just because you was exalted, just because you was exalted to being king over the people, you can't get big-headed. You can't do things the way you want to do it. You can't do it as the way you see fit, but you got to do it according to the word of Jehovah. And then he started to point fingers. What about ism? Instead of owning up to what he done. See, he didn't own up until he said, well, since you rejected the word of the Lord, he gonna reject you from being king. Oh, I'm sorry. I repent. I sinned. I messed up. Let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs 28:13. Trying to save face. Let's take Psalms 28:13. He that covers his sin shall not prosper, but whoso confesses and forsake them shall have mercy. Well, God knows my heart. Jeremiah 17:9 is going to answer that right here. Jeremiah 17 verse 9. Well, God knows my heart. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, the Lord, searches the heart and try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doing. It's a perfect example right there. See, he went about it his way instead of obeying the prophet. Instead of obeying the servant, he told him what to do. I made you king, so now this is something that you got to do. He leaned to his own understanding. He did it his way. Sirach chapter 5 verse 2 gonna say this. We're gonna take it down. It says, follow not thy own mind and thy strength, to walk in the ways of thy heart. And say not, who shall control me for my works? For the Lord will surely revenge thy pride. Say not, I have sinned, and what harm will happen unto me? For the Lord is long-suffering, he will no wise let thee go. Did he let Saul go? No, he rejected him from being king. He said, you reject my word, I reject you from being king. Proverbs 3 and 5. It says, trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not to thy own understanding. What I've been saying the whole time. A prideful person would not trust in the Lord. They would trust and lean into their own understanding. But it says right here, trust in the Spirit of God with all thy heart. All of it. Not some of it. And lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him. He shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thy own eyes, and desire the Spirit of God, and depart from evil. See, this pride will change the way you walk. Remember, this shoe. This pride will change the way you walk. Because you walk upright. Now you have a heel on. You walk different. And it leads us into this. You walk a little bit different. You're lifted up high according to your own doing. See, Jehovah didn't lift you up. You lifted up yourself. You elevated yourself. You elevated your flesh. Pride, shoe number 5. Pride makes you taller, those high heel pumps. Not stronger. It's not the path that is directed by Jehovah nor guided by Jehovah. It is by thy own self. See, some shoes add height. Pride adds ego. But elevation without the foundation of Christ would lead to collapse. Since I brought up that up, let's type this in. Type this in real quick. Rock, stone, refuge, foundation, strength. That's why it says this in Proverbs 16. It's going to take us to, we in shoe number 5. Proverbs 16 and 18 says this. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Verse 19. Better it is to be of a humble spirit with the lowly, than to divide the spoil with the proud. Today, like I said, we're talking about those high heels of pride. Things that look good, things that elevate the appearance, but makes the soul unstable. And Christ brought that out in Matthew 7 and 24. He brought it out just the point that I couldn't bring it out if I couldn't speak it no better myself. I couldn't. Starting at verse 24. We're going to take it down. It says, therefore, whosoever hear these sayings of mine, doeth them, and I would liken him unto a wise man who built a house upon a rock. And rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded on a rock. His sayings, doing what he has commanded, what he has instructed, with humility, servitude, not lifting yourself up, doing his will and his desires, obeying his voice. And everyone that hears these sayings of mine and doeth them not, they're not going to hold to his knowledge and understanding. Remember, they're going to hold to the earthly wisdom, the earthly understanding, the ways of the flesh. It says, liken him unto a foolish man who built a house upon sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and what? And it fell, and it was great was the fall of it. Great was the fall of it. Because it wasn't founded on that rock. Let's go to Isaiah. See, you up so high. You lifting yourself up so high and so glamorous and so glorious. Isaiah 28 and 16. You think you're not due for a fall? When you put yourself above other people in other situations? It says, therefore, the Spirit of God, therefore, thus said the Lord God, behold, remember, I lay in Zion a foundation of stone, a tried stone. See, it's tried. A precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall never make haste. Shoe number 6. Pride is expensive. Meaning this, fancy shoes cost something more than what you think. See, a woman would spend her last dollar on a new pair of fancy name brand shoes. Her last dollar. Just to say, I'm going shopping, I'm buying it. Well, I worked hard for it. Okay, yeah. Even going into what? Spiritual debt. Even going into spiritual debt. Meaning this: pride costs relationships, pride costs peace, pride costs spiritual growth. See, you can't grow and glow in pride at the same time. See, Ezekiel chapter 28 and 16 is going to say this. Ezekiel 28:16. He's going to say this. By the multitude of what? Of thy merchandise. They have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain, God. I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Verse 17, because, this is for this reason. He said, thy heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by the reason of thy brightness. You thought you was all that. And now you thought you was all that, and you sought more knowledge and understanding of what I've already given you. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, and that they may what? Behold thee. See, it's a cost to it. It's expensive. Matthew 16 and 26. See, we think that it doesn't cost that much, but it's going to cost your soul. See, it's expensive. It's going to cost your soul. For what is a man profited if he what? Gain the whole world and lose his soul? That's what it's going to cost you. Pride is expensive. And lose his own soul. Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Is it worth it? Is it worth the price? Is it worth the payment? Is it worth the cost? Hebrews 2 and 2, it says, for if the word spoken by angels, messengers, was steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received a just recompense of reward. So why are we still being debtors to the flesh? If you crucified, if you mortified the flesh, when you got baptized, you know what should have been floating in that pool? You know what should have been in that drain? Let me say it that way. You know what should have been in that drain when they drained that pool? Wherever you got baptized at? Pride. It should have went down the drain into the sewer, into the waste. It says, Romans 8 and 12, therefore, brethren, are we debtors not to live? Debtors not to the flesh? Therefore, for this reason, brethren, it says, therefore, brethren, we are debtors not to the flesh, to live after the flesh. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. Is the payment worth it? Are you going into spiritual death? Spiritual debt. We made the purchase. If you purchase pride on your credit card, you owe that payment. Check your credit card statements. You sisters know what I'm talking about. You people that go shopping, check that credit card. Check that Capital One. Is it in your pocket? What's in your pocket? Check that Capital One. You bought something. You owe that pay. You owe that credit card. That's a debt. We are not debtors. We are what? Debtors not to the flesh. If you mortified it, you don't owe the flesh nothing. Shoe number 7. Pride hides pain, meaning this. On the outside, a woman will smile, knowing that those shoes hurt. On the inside, her toes are filled with pressure and pain. Pride says, don't let them see you weak or suffer. But humility says, God is strong when I am weak. Go through your sufferings with Christ right there. Go through your tests and your trials with Christ with you by your side, in your heart, covered over you. 2 Corinthians 12 and 9 going to say, and he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. See, a proudful person won't let the tears fall. A prideful person won't let the tears fall. He sees what you're going through. Like a woman walking around, her feet killing her, but she still want to wear the shoes because they look good. Most gladly thereof will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, for this reason, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions. You persecuted me for the way of Christ, for living holy. I take pleasure in that. I'm not going to tuck my tail and run. In distress for Christ's sake, for when I am weak, then I am strong. It's time to change shoes. Tell your flesh it's time to change shoes. Tell your spirit, tell your heart, your inner man, it's time to change your shoes. Take off pride. Put on humility. Take off the need to impress. Put on the desire to obey. Take off what looks good in the flesh and put on what is right according to the spirit. Put on what stands strong. See, many of us, we have to wash our feet. We have to wash our desires before you put anything on. You can't put stanky feet into new, clean shoes. You got to clean them stanky feet. You got to cut them toenails so it fits. You don't put dirty feet into a new clean shoe. Some of us need a spiritual pedicure. Let me type that in. Let me put in some more words. I want to see that wash. See that wash? You see that wash? Cleanse, renew, be clean, purify, baptize, condemn, sanctify, washed, past tense, cleansed, purified, baptized, sanctified. You got to cleanse, renew, purify, and sanctify your ways unto him, your desires unto him. Let me put in feet. So we all be, okay. So we know what we're dealing with. Feet, desires, pathway, footsteps, tread, walk. You think I've been getting verses about walk? Let's go to John. We got to see some of this. Let's go to John. I want to go. Yeah, John 13. John 13, verse 5. It says, after this, he poured the water, the knowledge into the basin and began to wash the disciples' feet. He washed you with that, he cleansing you with that wisdom, that knowledge and that understanding. He began to wash, to cleanse your desires. Let me pull up Deuteronomy 10 and 12. I'm not going to quote it just yet, but I want it on the screen so we can see it. Deuteronomy 10 and 12. There you go. It says, began to wash the disciples' feet, to wipe them with the towel and towel what he was girded with. And then Peter, it's always that one. It's always that one. Always Peter. Boy, Peter. Then cometh he to Simon Peter, and Peter said unto him, Lord, doest thou wash my feet? Yeah. Yeah, you got some dirty feet. You need a spiritual pedicure, Peter. I got to pull out the tools. I got to pull out the grinder to get the bottom of the feet, to get, you sisters know what I'm talking about. I've had a pedicure myself now. They get that machine and you get the heel all. Well, I'm not calling nobody out, but you know what kind of feet you got. And Jesus answered and said unto him, what I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter said unto him, thou shalt never wash my feet. Oh, really? You see what's creeping in? It started to creep in a little. It started to creep in. You ain't gonna wash my feet. See that pride started to creep in? You ain't gonna. No, you don't need to wash my feet. Yeah, I do, Peter. Yeah, I do. And Peter said unto him, thou shalt never wash my feet. And Jesus answered him, if I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. Now the light bulb went off in Peter. The light bulb went off. He said, Simon Peter said unto him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Man, wash everything. I'm laughing because when we get hit with something, if you're reading the scriptures and you get hit straight up on the chrome dome, you get hit in the head with it. You start to see it now. Peter was like, I have no part with you. I got second thoughts on that. Don't wash just my feet. You're gonna wash my hands, my head. Man, you're gonna wash everything. You just gonna you're gonna wash everything. And Jesus said unto him, he that is washed needeth not save to wash his feet, but he is clean every whit. And ye are clean, but what? But not all of you. Yeah, we know who we know who's there. The one that betrayed him. The willful sinner, Judas. We know who it was. But As it says right here, you got to wash your feet. Your desires got to be his desire. And it says, now Israel, what do the Spirit of God require of thee? But to desire the Spirit of thy God always, to walk in his ways, to love him, to promise him, to serve the Spirit of thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Cleanse your heart and give all to him. You got to cleanse your heart and give everything over to him. And it says this in 1 Peter 3:15. It says, but sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you for a reason of hope that is in you with what? With, oh my goodness, with meekness and fear. It's right there. Meekness. It says this right here. It says, leave off sin. You got to leave off the sin. So you're gonna cleanse that. You're gonna purify that. We're gonna pull in Sirach 38 and 10. And then we're gonna pull in Romans 12. Romans 12 and 1 and 2. Sirach 38 and 10. It says, leave off from sin. Order thy hands aright, and cleanse thy heart from all wickedness. So we're going to pull in Romans 12, 1 and 2. I beseech you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed what? By the renewing what? Of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and what? The perfect will of God. So in Exodus, let me pull this in. Now we know that cleansing is to condemn the flesh. That cleansing is to condemn the flesh. To mortify the deeds of the body. So why is it that, let me go to Galatians 3 and 27. We got to cleanse wash our feet. It says, for as many of us have been baptized, condemned, into Christ, you have put on Christ. So in order to put those new shoes on, you got to first cleanse those feet, and you got to take off the old ones. In Exodus chapter 3, verse 5, it's going to say this. In order to put on new desires, to be under the authority of Christ, we have to cleanse our feet, cleanse our desires, and make our desires as his. That's what we have to do. And he said unto Moses, watch this. Moses, he said in Exodus chapter 3, verse 5. And when the Spirit of God, saw that he turned aside to see, God called him out of the midst of the bush and said unto him, and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw nigh hither, put off thy shoes off thy feet. We see we can't come with our own authority. We can't come according to our own righteousness. We can't come wearing pride. We can't come with flesh. I can go on and on. We have to come with humility. We have to come with obedience. We have to come in serving through righteousness and knowledge and his wisdom. We have to take off everything of ourselves and submit and humble ourselves before God. See, when Moses drew near to the burning bush, he was told to remove his shoes because he stood on what? On holy ground. That was a spiritual lesson. You do not approach a holy God with a casual, proud, or worldly attitudes. We appear that holy ground that what is set apart, hallowed, purified, dedicated. That's the posture is required when we draw near unto him. Take off self and put on Jehovah. It's holy ground. 2 Samuel 22 and 45. And 47. And the Spirit of God liveth, and blessed, wisdom is my rock, and exalted to be the God of the rock of what? Of my salvation. He's exalted to be. He is the one exalted to be. So in saying this, as we begin to wind down, saying this in closing, some shoes look powerful, but they make you weak. Some shoes look glamorous, but they make you fall. But when you walk in humility, you walk steady, balanced, you walk in the security of Jehovah. Because God doesn't bless the proud walk. He blesses the humble heart. So before you leave this teaching, ask yourself, am I walking in what feels right to my flesh? Or am I walking what is right in the sight of Jehovah? Because pride may look good today, but humility will keep you standing for eternity. This is Elder T, and I'd like to say to each and every one of you, Shalom.